Welcome to my history and civics class, my dear students. In the lesson of civics, lesson number 2, the president and the vice president. Today I am going to teach you about the powers of the president, the powers and responsibilities of the president of India. What are the powers? The first power I am going to teach you, the executive power. There are different types of powers the president of India exercises. The first one, executive power. First one, the executive power. The executive power. The president enjoys many executive powers. Number one, appointing of different, dignitaries. The president is supposed to appoint many dignitaries. For example, the president appoints the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers under the advice of the Prime Minister. The President summons the leader of the majority party and advises him to form a government, according to which a union government is formed under the advice of the President of India. Besides, the President appoints so many dignitaries like the Chief Justice of India, the judges of the Supreme Court, the judges of the High Court, the Auditor and Comptroller and Auditor General of India, and he also appoints, the chairman of the Union Public Service Commission. He also appoints the chairman of the Planning Commission. He also appoints, the president also appoints a number of dignitaries like chairman and members of the Planning Commission, members of the Economic Commission. They all are appointed by the President of India. Besides, the president, appoints Attorney General of India. He appoints Comptroller and Auditor General of India. The president, establishes his control over state governments also. The union government may give some necessary directions to a state. During president's rule, the president is able to enjoy his or her full power about state affairs. The union territories and the border areas also are administered by whom? By the president. So, what knowledge we gain from here, what we learn from this point, executive power of the president, we learn that the president has many executive powers. The president enjoys many executive powers. The president has certain executive powers. What are the executive powers the president enjoys or the president, exercises? The president appoints the Prime Minister and his or her advice, the Council of Ministers, and on requirement, the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers submit their resignation to whom? Submit his or her resignation or their resignations to whom? To the President of India. Another point that is also important, the President appoints, at the same time removes, the President appoints and at the same time removes dignitaries and high officials like Attorney General, the Comptroller and Auditor General, the judges of the Supreme Court, the judges of the High Court, the state governors, ambassadors, high commissioner, and so on. The president administers the union territories. The president, union territories are under his or her administration, and an administrator is appointed by the president to govern the union territories. The president looks after the entire system of administration during the time of emergency. But it is not the case of it is emergency power. It is not executive power of the president. Executive power of the president is the executive powers of the president are like that. The president is supposed to appoint all dignitaries, like the president, like the Chief Justice of India, the judges of the Supreme Court, the judges of the High Court. The president appoints comptroller and auditor general. The president appoints attorney general. The president appoints chairman of the Union Public Service Commission and members and chairman of the Planning Commission. The president appoints members, Prime Minister, the Council of Ministers under the advice of the Prime Minister, and at the same time, the president can dismiss the ministers under the advice of the Prime Minister. The president can dismiss the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Chief Justice of India, the judges of the Supreme Court, as well as the judges of the High Courts, and Comptroller, Auditor General, and Chairman of the Planning Commission, members of the Planning Commission, member of the Union Public Service Commission, and so the president can appoint them and at the same time can dismiss them from power. But in that case, a proposal of impeachment should be brought against their name, and if the person fails to prove it, the person has to resign either, or the president has to dismiss them from powers. So these are the executive power of the President of India. Executive power of the President of India. And next point, what is the point? Military powers. What is the military power? What are the military powers of the President? Now I am going to teach you the military powers of the President. The military powers of the president. The military powers of the president. The president is the supreme commander of the armed forces of India. The president can also declare war and can establish cordial relationship, peace with any country. The president is the supreme commander of the armed forces of India. The president is supposed to, the president is supposed to sign peace treaty with the countries of India. At the same time, the president can the president can declare war. This is the military power of the President of India. And second power, the president, diplomatic powers. Second one, diplomatic powers of the president. Another one, military powers. The president has the power to make declaration, war and peace. The president is the supreme commander of the armed force, as I told you. The president appoints chief of the three wings of the armed forces. Three wings of the armed forces, like subjects certain to rules and regulations, like the three wings of the armed forces, like Air Force, like Navy, and artillery, the main Major General of military department. So the president appoints the men. The president appoints the chiefs of the three wings of the armed forces of India. Three wings of the armed forces of India. But don't misunderstand, my dear student. Don't misunderstand this point, because I have seen while correcting copies of council, so many students have written, so many students wrote about it. The question was, what was the military power of the President of India? What was the executive power of the President of India? One student wrote, the executive power of President of India, the President appoints the three wings of the armed forces of India. Executive power. But absolutely wrong. It is the military power of the President of India. The President does not appoint. The President the President appoints the three wings of the armed forces of India. It is the military power. It is military power of the President of India, not executive power. And one student wrote, what was the military power of the President of what were the military powers of the President of India? That boy added one executive power in it. What was it? The President appoints the chairman of the Planning Commission and the members of the Planning Commission. It is absolutely wrong because it is the executive power of the President, but he wrote for military power. So it is also wrong. And one boy also wrote, so don't mix up with executive power and diplomatic power or military power and diplomatic power. So you learn it properly and notice it perfectly. Which one is military power, which one is executive power, which one is diplomatic power of the President of India. You have to notice it very carefully. Understood? So what is about it? I am telling you, the President's executive power is for all types of appointments for ministers, prime ministers, council of ministers, and dismissal of them. The President's appointment for the member of the judges of the Supreme Court, judges of the High Court, and the Chief Justice of India, appointment of the chairman of the Union Public Service Commission, Planning Commission, and their members. So these are the executive powers of the President of India. But the President cannot appoint any ambassador. The President cannot appoint any ambassador in the form of executive power. The President's executive power, the appointment of diplomats or ambassadors for other countries is not President's executive power. One student wrote, while correcting, I found out his mistake. Anyway, so what kind of power of the President of India is it? It is the power. It is the power of President. It is the power the President exercise as the power of diplomacy, diplomatic power. So it is the diplomatic power of the President, and under the rights of the diplomatic power of the President can appoint one ambassador for other countries of India. But it is not his executive power. Appointments of ambassador, that means executive power, not like that. The President can appoint any diplomat, any ambassador for other countries is his diplomatic power, not executive power, mind it. Diplomatic power. The President receives ambassadors, high commissioners, diplomatic envoys for foreign nations. The President represents India in international conferences. The President has the power of appointing Indian ambassadors to other countries. So these all are diplomatic powers of the President. My dear students, this is not the military power. What is the military power? The military power of the President is to appoint the three wings of the Indian forces, the three wings of the head of the three wings of the Indian forces. Their appointment is the military power of the president. Now, diplomatic power. Diplomatic power of the president. As I told you earlier, that the president appoints the ambassadors of India for other countries. Second one, the president receives the ambassadors of the foreign countries. The president shakes hand. The president, join hands. The president can receives the ambassadors of the foreign countries. The president can start bilateral talking with the foreign ambassadors regarding the crisis, regarding the problems. But one program is made by the Prime Minister of India, whether the president will start any bilateral talking with any ambassador who is coming from abroad, and president receives him or her. So these are the diplomatic powers of the President of India. And next one, what are the another power that is also very important power of the president? What is it? The legislative power of the president. Today I shall not discuss about the legislative power. Time is not there. Time will not permit. Now, once again I would like to analyze the teaching. What are the executive powers of the president? The president's executive power is to appoint all the dignitaries of India. The dignitaries like the President of India, dignitaries like the Chief Justice of India, dignitaries appointment for the Chief Justice of India. The President appoints the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts. The President appoints the Comptroller and Auditor General. The President appoints, the Chairman of the Union Public Service Commission and its members. The President appoints the Chairman of the Planning Commission and its members. So they all are appointed by the President. The President appoints them, and at the same time the president dismisses them under the charges of impeachment against them. So the president appoints, and another thing is that the president also appoints the main thing which I forgot to re-explain. The president appoints the Prime Minister of India. The president, summons the leader of the majority party. The president summons the leader of the majority party and asks him to form the government, according to which the leader of a majority party forms his government, according to which a union government is formed in the center and rule for 5 years. But before the completion of 5 years, their rule can be ended. How? Under the charges of impeachment, or under failure under the charges of proving their majority in the House. Whenever the government fails to prove its majority in the House in front of the Speaker, the whole ministry is supposed to resign. So these are the things the president can enjoy. The president can dismiss the minister. The president advises the Prime Minister along with the Council of Ministers to resign, and in that case further another one is elected as the Prime Minister, and President can once again summon. The President summons a leader of the majority party, a leader of the party, a leader of any from any party who has already obtained support from other parties, and is going to form a coalition government in the country. In that case, the president's importance, the president's role is very vital. The role is very important. The president has to find out which one must become, which one is supposed to be the leader having support of all parties and is going to form a coalition government in the in the center. In that case, president's role is very important. And so these are the powers the president enjoys. These powers are executive power. And military power, as I told you earlier, and diplomatic power also I taught you. So these are the three powers today I discussed. You must keep it in your mind, and I would like to request you to be careful, to be alert of the lesson. I am going to conduct one live class for you. The lesson number already I have mentioned in your tenor. Please see it, the number of lesson, and take good preparation for it. I shall clarify all the points. I shall make your doubt. I shall remove your doubts. I shall clear your doubts, and those who are interested to learn it, I do expect that they will join the live class, which is going to be held in the fixed date mentioned in the tenor. Please see your tenor. Thank you.